Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Administrations and Public Works Committee for September 8th, 2014, and we do have a quorum. Can we get a motion for the approval of the minutes of August 11th?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved in second. Are there any corrections, additions? Not. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? On items for consideration, we have the City of Evanston payroll through August 10th, 2014 of $2,933,794.53. And payroll through August the 24th, 2014 of $2,804,467.62. Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Bills list. The City of Evanston's bill through September 9th is $6,419,512.61, and our credit card reporting ending July 31st, 2014 is $140,784.59.
Move approval.
It's been moved in second, but we have a speaker that wants to speak on the bills list. Mr. Risky. So before we approve it. Speaker.
I'm going to speak on the bills list because I want to know where an item is on the bills list, if it's on the bills list or where it is. The item I'm interested in is the patio that was recently built by the city down on Howard Street, and where that's going to fall in the invoicing and the bills list and items that were spent. The issue I'm asking about is there was material, there was labor, there were city employees involved with the labor, there were all types of things. So where's the entire cost accounting of this in the bills list? The city said it was a $16,000 expenditure. So can we get an expenditure for all the material, the trucks that were used down there? There were 10 vehicles down there the day I was down there. There were 10 city employees. Some of these employees were salaried employees, so I don't know how they were charged for the work. There were carpenters down there that weren't city employees working. And I'd like to know where all these items fall on the bills list, how it was all done. You built a patio with bricks the city owned, but you had to build a base, so you had to buy material. And other city workers were involved in this. They're non-salary. I mean, they're salaried workers, so how were they billed? You can't say they're free, and the argument that I think I keep hearing is the city improved property here. There's one problem with that argument, and the very basic argument is basically you have a contract to purchase that at a certain value, and that value was assigned to the people down there. So all those costs, really, you modified the contract without really producing any kind of change to contract for the council. So I think all these things add up to an issue that needs to be addressed. The public needs to know what was the true cost, and all the items need to be accounted for in some manner. And the supervisory people are not free. If I'm a contractor doing work, all my supervision is charged as overhead. So all these things had to be charged. So I'd like to know how it comes up to $16,000, because I believe private contractors would have been a lot more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Risky. Mr. City Manager, do you want to address it?
I'd like to address it.
Oh,
first.
okay.
Yeah, I have my light on.
I'm sorry, Alderman Rainey, I didn't see it. Alderman Rainey first.
I'm not sure if Mr. Rizky needs an answer, because I think he answered his,
Own question.
kept telling us what it is really like. I will be glad, and the city manager will be glad, to provide you with the invoice, which we have just provided Peckish Big with. And in fact, it was not 16,000, it was 18,000 plus. And we have the invoice, and it's public record, and you may have it. Now, where those little entries for gravel or bricks are going to show up on the bills list, I'm not sure. It wasn't on this week's bills list, because I scoured the bills list, as I always do. However, Mr. City Manager, can we get him a copy? I have it online, but I can't print it out, so.
Madam Chair, Alderman Rainey.
And just to finish, you make everything so ugly and dirty, when actually it's so beautiful and successful. And I'm sorry you are so depressed about life in general, whatever's going on with you, you need to, pop out of it and get a life and enjoy life. You have never seen anything good in anything. And you made a statement a couple of weeks ago. I went to Peckish Pig and I loved it. It was very nice, but it's going to destroy Ward 8. Well, I was at Peckish Pig on Friday night. I got there at about 8 o'clock. We had to wait for a seat at the bar because there were no seats in the entire place. It had rained, so the patio was not open. After we ate, we then went to Ward 8, where we still could not get a seat, and that was after 10 o'clock. So you have some really incorrect observations, and the reason they're incorrect is because you are so negative about everything. And I will no longer sit here and let you bash progress and success on the south end of town. And I guarantee you, other people feel the same way. I think you're alone in this. And, that's too bad. There.
Mr. City
I'm
Manager?
finished.
Okay. Mr. City Manager?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the committee. This is actually a receivable to the city, so this is not something that would appear on the bills list. The city, on August the 29th, 2014, issued a bill to Peckish Pig. The total of that bill was $18,412.23. The bill itemizes the labor, it itemizes the materials, the bricks, all of that was itemized. So that bill has now been presented to Peckish Pig. It is due and payable on the 27th of September pursuant to our normal billing requirements. There will be a interest rate applied to the bill of 15% for balances unpaid, as would be standard for us. So this is not a bill that would be on the bills list. It is a bill that has been presented by the City of Evanston. We'd be happy to make copies available to any interested party.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey, would you proceed with A31? Thank you. Oh, it doesn't, you want to, we can do it either way.
I thought you had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's see, A3.1, approval of contract with Garland DBS.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Rainey, hold on just one second. I'm sorry, we got so involved in that conversation. We did move in second, but we did not approve the bill. So I'm going to go back and, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, 3-8.
I'm sure we would have been called out.
I'm sure. Well, Mr. Stonebeck reminded me. Thank you.
Approval of a contract with Garland DBS, Inc. for water treatment facility roof replacements in the amount of $709,309. We'll be utilizing the U.S. Communities Purchasing Program for the contract. Garland DBS is the selected contractor through this program. Second.
It's been moved in second. I see no lights. All in favor? Any opposed? Alderman Grover.
I move A3.2, which is our approval of a streetlight purchase from LCAS Lighting for our 2014 Safer Neighborhood Area Project, our SNAP project, in the amount of $24,645.09, which would increase the wattage of a certain number of Talmadge streetlights from 85 watts to 165. And this is a sole source purchase.
Second.
It's been moved in second. See no lights. Alderman Rainey.
Could we just explain the reason it's a sole source purchase is because this company is the only one that does the fabrication and distribution of these luminaires.
Okay. You want any further explanation because the Public Works Director is here, and so is Satin. Reggie, do you want more? Oh, okay. All right. It's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. A3.3, approval of the Pittner Avenue Dempster Street Sidewalk project contract with Schroeder and Schroeder, bid number 14-54. Staff recommends that the city council authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Schroeder and Schroeder in the amount of $167,438. Funding is provided by the CDGB funds of $135,800 and $31,638 from the CIP project. Yes. Alderman Grover.
Alderman Braithwaite was hoping to make some comments on this agenda item, if we could have it moved, seconded, and then hold it for further discussion once he's here.
Okay, I know, well, he asked me to hold another one. I didn't realize.
He had some thanks to offer in connection with this agenda item.
Well, then I think he can do that when he gets here, the thanks. Well, let's just
Okay.
go ahead and approve it.
Sure.
And he can offer his thanks on that, but I will hold the other one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure if you mentioned that the reason for the increase was because of 6 extra streets were going to be included in that paving. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, okay.
All right, A5 is,
A4.
oh, okay. We just did the dumpster.
We just did the
sorry.
dumpster, right.
And this one, 6 extra streets are
Right.
included. This is an approval is being requested of us for change order number 1 with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors for the 2014 Capital Improvement 3 Street Resurfacing Project. This is in the amount of $345,156.70. What I was mentioning, the scope of contract will include street resurfacing of 6 additional streets, which we're all thankful for.
Right. It's been moved in second. No lights. Alderman Rainey, your light's on. You want to speak?
just-
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, for A5, we have speakers, so Alderman Grover, you want to read it, and then we'll,
Yes, ma'am. I move A5, which is our Resolution 64R14, endorsing the application of Little Beans Cafe Evanston LLC to the Cook County Assessor for a Class 7A status designation for their commercial redevelopment of vacant property located at 430 Asbury Avenue in Evanston.
Second.
okay, we have 2 speakers. Mr. Rob Spangler.
My name is Rob Spangler. This is my sister and business partner, Shannon Valco. She's also an Evanston resident. We are the ones opening Little Beans Cafe at 430 Asbury. There was a few reasons we wanted to go ahead with the 7A. Obviously, for tax reasons, once we attain the property directly with the landlord, but also in negotiating the sublease, with, as everyone knows, is still owned by CVS. It was somewhat of a requirement to get the tax rate down the period that we were going to be leasing it with them for our negotiated rates.
You want it?
No, that's exactly right, and to help with the economics of our negotiation and being able to utilize the space for our business purpose.
Right, okay. Thank you. Alderman Rainey?
Well, on
What?
behalf of Alderman Burris and myself and the people in both our wards and the entire city, we really appreciate your perseverance on this. We know better than you know that for the last, 8 or 9 years, nobody's been able to pull off what you pulled off. And you're very smart and you're so welcomed. And I've talked to so many neighbors who are just thrilled that you're going to be there. I'm absolutely thrilled. And I think it might be good at some point when you get some work done in there, maybe to have a meeting in there with all the neighbors just hanging out. We've done it before with failed projects there, and people really come out and want to hear about it. And it's a good way to introduce you to them.
That would be great. We'd love to do that, so we will.
All right.
Not only that, but because we do have a little extra time, we're moving pretty fast on our agenda tonight. Would you like to take a moment and tell our Evanston community a little bit about Little Bean?
Sure. We have one existing location in Lincoln Park, and we are a play cafe. A play cafe is a family cafe, that has a play space in it for children. So in this location on Asbury, we're going to expand on that concept and have 2 separate play areas for kids 0 to 6 and another play area for kids 5 to 12. We'll also have a cafe serving coffee, specialty coffee drinks, sandwiches, salads, pastries, ice cream, a full-service cafe that the community is all welcome to join. And then they'll have these 2 play areas and a small gymnasium that is scheduled for kids to come in and drop in at any time during our open hours and play while their parents enjoy the time with the kids and refreshment or sandwich or something and time to talk to their friends. So the idea is that we're a place that families and the community can come experience, drop in, play with their kids. We also offer classes, events, camp programs, and we'll have a lot of activities going on with our gyms. In our gym, we do concerts for kids, all sorts of really fun programming. We'll have a classroom, the gym, the 2 play areas, birthday party rooms, and the cafe. We'll also have drive-through coffee for the community to use, and we'll serve coffee, pastries, and ice cream.
Fantastic. Thank you. Alderman Grover?
I can't imagine being a kid in the back of a car, though, a minivan as it drives up, just for the parent to get coffee, and they're thinking, well, why aren't we going in? With the play
That's the
cafe
idea.
there.
That's true.
Seriously.
Well,
What's the next nearest play cafe? I know of one in Wilmette on Linden, perhaps near the
There's
end of
one
the
called
alley.
Grosbert's. Yeah, that's probably the closest one. There's one in Wilmette and Grosbert's, and then there's Gather. However, those aren't really traditional play cafes because they don't have the cafe portion. Gather is a play space actually, I don't know that much about it. It's different. It's an art center play space. The difference in a play space and a play cafe is obviously the cafe element.
Right.
So I'm
right.
not sure if there's another play cafe that would be really considered a play cafe any closer than Lincoln Square.
Where you
So-
are.
Right.
Lincoln Square is actually, there's a place called Pickles Playroom in Lincoln Square, and then we're in Lincoln Park. So the next closest one to here would be Lincoln Square.
Great, and you'll do party rentals as well? And
Lots of birthday parties, so we'll do birthday
Right.
parties for the kids 5 to 12 and birthday parties for the kids 0 to 6. And a really nice camp program for little kids. There's probably a little bit, there's a lot of camp programs in Evanston, wonderful camp programs run by the city and by different schools and such that offer for the older kids 6+, but we also do a camp program for like an entry-level camp program for kids 2.5 to 5, so.
And this presents an employment opportunity for high schoolers
Absolutely.
who otherwise might not be able to find
Absolutely.
good work, who have lots of babysitting experience. This would play in well.
So our play areas are monitored by staff members. We look for people who have experienced babysitting and stuff, and it's a perfect employment for a high school or a college student, and they spend the time in the room playing with the kids, cleaning, they are background checked. We also, will be hiring camp counselors, and we will have programming in our gym. We're going to have drop-in basketball, floor hockey, different activities on a schedule of events that you can just drop in throughout the day and experience different programming. And we'll also be looking to the high schools to help, to try to use some of their, excellent basketball players to help teach kids.
Great.
What's your opening
Good question.
projection?
We hope the first week or second week of January at this point.
Really? Oh, excellent.
We're looking at
Kinda
January
depends on
15th.
build-out, but-
Excellent.
And I'll also note, when it comes to the drive-through, it's not only geared towards the parents and the kids, we're going to be issuing discount cards for all Evanston Public School teachers, because there's so many different schools right in that area. So the idea is be open before the schools are open and try to get some teachers to come through too. So we'll have that incentive as well once we open and roll it out.
Great. Sounds exciting.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And thank you guys for your support. You guys have been so wonderful to work with, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brad Knob? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You're on. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Mr. Knob, just a minute. I called you on the wrong item. Because you're 6A. So hold on for a minute. Mr. Risky. This is 6A.
It's interesting. I like to keep with issues, not attack anyone's. When you attack someone, it basically shows you don't want to discuss the issues. And the issues really are about the use of the taxpayer money. What we have going on here are a lot of giveaways of our tax dollars. You know, I'm not depressed. I can pay the taxes here. I think there are a lot of people that can't pay the taxes. Quite frankly, what bothers me about the thing I see here again, it's $1 million you're giving away. Okay? You're giving away $1 million in taxes. Your argument, of course, will be nobody's going to do anything. But as I read this thing, I see CVS is going to pay the taxes because they're stuck with the property. So you're giving them money, $1 million. So think about that when you cut the budget this year, because Wally wants a 3% cut out of every department in the city. So where that's going to come from, it's going to come from people, or Wally's going to manipulate it. So I'm not depressed. I like the facts, and I don't think this council likes to deal in facts, and that's a big problem. So frankly, this basically amounts to a 3% property tax increase over time. It basically, over the period that this would happen, if you take that money, $1 million is a 3% property tax increase. Not continuous, but as a lump sum it is. So the taxpayers absorb this, and that's the issue. Like I said, let's stick with the issues. You know, I don't need an amateur psychologist or psychiatrist here. I mean, we've got amateur aldermen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brisky.
Alderman Holmes.
Alderman Rainey and then
I
Alderman
think
Grover.
The fact that this property has been vacant and deteriorating to the point where nobody, even with deep pockets, wants to rent it or to buy it, given its condition without some assistance. And this is the least we can do. The place has been an empty, deteriorated property for years and years and years. And maybe it was our failure not to bring somebody in there, but I can tell you some of the places we kept out were not very desirable. So I think anything we can do to fill this building and to get somebody as high quality as Little Beans and as successful as Little Beans has been in Lincoln Park, I'm just eternally grateful, and had nothing to do with getting them. We worked on getting many, many others in there. And these people drove by one day and said, do you know anything about this? And we said yes. And so they did it on their own, and we're just thrilled to have them. And the least we can do is support this application to the county.
Which gets to my comment. Madam
Okay,
Chair.
yes,
Yeah.
Alderman Grover, go ahead.
Which is simply that this is simply a recommendation of the Cook County Assessor, which is where I believe the actual decision as to the Class 7A status designation resides. So it's not our decision, it's just our resolution.
Absolutely. And didn't we did this last year, I believe, or year before last, with the property across from the police station? Isn't this the same?
We did, I think we did, but we also did it for Autobarn. Is this the same class?
Yes.
for
That's
Autobarn.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not anything new that we're doing, just something to
Another giveaway.
try to promote more business in the area. Okay. Did we get a motion on that? Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. I was trying to wait for Alderman Brathwaite, but he hasn't gotten here yet, so we will go ahead with A6, and we have a presentation. City Manager, you want to kick it off?
Sure. Madam Chair, members of the committee, good evening. Just to be clear, what you have before you this evening, if you'll recall, when the Dempster Dodge TIF was first created, the City Council, as part of the creation of the TIF, passed a resolution 54R12. That resolution stipulated what steps that city staff would be authorized to do at such time to help with the a redevelopment of the of the Evanston Plaza Shopping Center. Since that time and since the point of that resolution being adopted, Dominic's is closed. There has been interest in the purchase of not only the lease for the former Dominic's store, but also for the entire center. So in order to allow us to move forward, to be of assistance in these new opportunities for the center. We're asking the council this evening to adopt Resolution 58R14, which changes the authorization that was previously given back in 2012 to also include Zuri of Evanston, which would be the holding company from Valley Produce, to move forward with this. So just to be clear, what we're asking for is a restatement of that resolution providing authorization. The City Council is not approving any financing scheme this evening for the center, but merely restating the authorization so that staff can work with Valley Produce moving forward. So, Madam Chair, with that introduction, we have representatives here from Valley Produce who would like to talk a little bit about their vision for both the grocery store and the center, and they were standing right behind me. Oh, there they are right there, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
All right. I think that's Mr. Knob. Okay. Let them introduce themselves first before we get started, before you turn the light on. They probably
Good
need the
evening.
light.
I'm Frank Recco from Valley Produce, one of the principals. My brother-in-law Carmen Presta, also another principal owner. We've been, when Safeway came up with their list of food stores that became available with the closing of all their locations, we zoned in on Evanston. We have a familiarity with the city of Evanston, the diversity, the density of the population. It really fits what we do as owner-operators. We have 4 other locations where we own the property and operate the food store. It's the right combination for us. We're fully invested in these locations. In Hoffman Estates, it's a great example. We were pointed out by the the director of economic development at that time, Gary Skoog, as an example to the other businesses of how to take care of their property. He actually came to me and said, how can we get the other owners interested in upkeep of landscape, cleanliness, friendliness, and working with the city of Hoffman Estates. So again, as far as the location, it was very, very important for us to proceed as owner-operator. We really become entrenched in the community. 2 weekends ago, I happened to come up for church at St. Michael's, and we were recognized by a few of the ushers. We introduced ourselves, and you're the Valley people. So it's very, very important for us to be owner-operators and be invested in the community. With us, we have Brad Knabb from Maynard Store Design Services, and he can walk you through some of the improvements that we would make to the exterior as well as obviously the interior.
Brad Knabb, Maynard Store Services, for record keeping, that's MEHMERT. We're a full-service design and consulting firm specializing in only grocery stores. Valley Produce invited us to the table, and we've taken some of the existing Dominic's plans and just some pictures of the existing store and provided a few concepts to start conversation flowing, and also to define the change that will happen at Evanston Plaza. So what you see here is the existing Dominic's store. A couple things to note is that there are 2 entry points to the current store, and there's a large tenant space on the left-hand side that would be the east side of the shopping center. The shopping center continues to go to the corner, so what we are proposing today is work that will be done to the grocery store itself and an addition or expansion of the store into this adjacent tenant space. There are a few tenants in there now who will either be moved or relocated to the front of the store. The east side of the shopping center is pretty hard to get to with the street level and the landscaping. So we think that the expansion into that tenant space will actually be a positive impact on the overall shopping center. Can I move these slides myself with this? Okay. So this slide represents it's an overlay. It's a little bit hard to read. The next slide is the proposed plan. But this here at least shows you in concept what we're planning to add on. So about 67 or 66% of the existing tenant space will now become part of the shopping center. And from all the red you see is the existing plan, and we are basically taking a store and we're flipping it. We're going to utilize one main entry, and then the way the flow of the store works is that there will be one exit. That's not to say that some shoppers may come in the exit, like most y'all probably do anyway, but that's okay. And the design of the store is set up to do that. But I think for the flow and for the parking, having an entry over here dedicated makes a lot of sense, with the bulk of the parking kind of being centered on the main entry. Next slide. Oop. There we go. So here's a clean version of our store, Valley Store. I'd like it to be my store, but maybe Carmen will give me a cut because I'm going to do such a good job. But I don't know if any of you have been into a Valley Produce store. They're progressive grocer. They do produce like no other. This whole third of the store represents their power perishable aisle. All of these tables are produce. You walk in a main entry, you enter upon a bakery, produce, deli, a new seafood and sushi counters, fresh meat along the back, service meat on the corner, and this whole aisle back here is all dairy and frozen, which feeds into liquor and beverage and check stands across the back with a small little customer counter for express and an exit. The expansion consists of a large dairy cooler, storage shelving, and more storage in the back with a few offices. So the footprint of the store lends itself well because it was a grocery store. All of the mechanicals will be replaced. The interior of the store is not going to look like a Dominick's. It's going to be a brand new theme, brand new Valley Produce. Nobody will recognize that it ever was a Dominick's that closed the doors and left Evanston. Next slide. So this was an early concept that we did just to bring about some ideas and discussions with Valley and what they wanted to bring to the table here. These are very preliminary, but from the most part, we know that we want to do something with a new corner element. Here's the existing picture here with the Radio Shack sign on it now, so you can kind of get an idea of what we're proposing that we want to have the corner to be held by. They wanted old world, old feel, little more upscale to really change the character of the shopping center. We added some fun elevational things, maybe changed some of the materials at the base to give it really a pedestrian scale or urban feel, and just really to freshen up the quasi-80s, early 90s architecture up into the new modern world. Next slide. Lastly, these are just some elevational studies so you can kind of see the texture and the up and down of the architecture, the proportions and scale. Have a few people riding some bikes and walking by the sidewalk so you can get an idea how that monument sign today feels and what we'd like to propose. None of this is set in stone. We obviously would take community suggestions as we go along and staff suggestions, but we know we want to do something new to the sign. We know we want to do something new to the corner elements of the store and shopping center, and we want to maintain a focal point at our entry. With that really concludes my mini presentation. I appreciate your time for allowing us to squeeze this in so you guys can kind of see the direction where we're heading. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, or I'm sure Frank and Carmen have things to add.
And actually, I wanted to state for the record, we do have a signed sublease with Safeway, so we will be in that food store. Our closing for purchasing the center is scheduled for September 18th. So those two will happen.
Okay, Alderman Redway is joining us now, so we just got started on this, just got through the presentation. If you could just back up, I don't know if anybody else has any questions, but I'm a visual person, so I have to really see it. And when you talk about the store as you're proposing it, is that Dodge? That's Dodge, where you're going to flip it?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the south side of the shopping center. So that elevation is.
No, that's
the
not.
east side.
That's the east side, and that's what's confusing to me. Is that the east side or the south side?
No, where the turret is,
That faces north, correct?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's facing north. I get
That's
where
the east
Radio Shack is.
So that's the east side, correct?
Uh-huh.
It faces east.
Oh, okay.
The tenant spaces on the side?
Yeah, that's Dodge on the side, east side.
Sorry.
Okay.
If I have my bearings correct, this is the east side.
Yes.
Right. So
Where the
that's
little
where the
stores
tenants
are.
that would be moved now and put somewhere else.
Correct. And along, what this rendering doesn't show, that this picture begins to show, is all the thick landscaping. And there's quite a little elevation drop as well. And those tenant
have to
spaces,
walk
I mean,
up
I
the
assume they're
stairs.
empty now, or most of
Yes.
them are.
Yeah, there's only one.
If I was a shopping store owner, I would be blessed if somebody would want to rent space along that side. So the design of the store to move into some of that space is to keep the front available for rental space. From what I understand.
There's only one tenant
There's
to
only
be
one
rolled.
tenant now. But there will be a marquee corner for a new tenant space that would, front the parking lot, and then all the space in the back would basically, a lot of Valley's back support and back of house.
Okay, so let me try one more time. So then down Dodge, using that as the focal point, so down Dodge there, is that going to be the back of Valley?
That's the
It's
side.
really the side.
Side, but that's going to be Valley, not tenants, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's my question.
Probably, well, I mean, from maybe about this window or so, because the front third would be for space fronting the parking lot. So somebody's front door might be right here, and they might occupy maybe this window here and a half of that one. But the last 5 or 6 bays would be Valley.
Okay, and then on what's facing north would be new tenant space,
Yeah,
correct?
From about where these windows start, this is tenant space.
Okay.
And there's one current tenant there now, and then from here over to somewhere in here would be Valley Grocery Store.
Okay,
Valley
great.
Produce.
I got you. Okay, thank you. Alderman Rainey and Alderman Grover.
Well, I wanted to comment on the design, the interior of the grocery store. I went to the grand opening of the Howard Street Dominic's Now Jewel, and by the L station on Howard Street. Everyone who goes there and everyone that day said, this is just exactly like Dominic's. There's no difference. I feel like I'm in Dominic's, except the prices are higher. So then Mariano's went into Dominic's. It has the, a garage. You go up and you park in the
Ridge.
building. It's on like Caldwell or Talcott or Higgins.
No, they have one in Park Ridge.
It's in Park Ridge,
Yes.
yeah. And everybody is saying there that it's just like Dominic's Mariano's, that there's virtually no change in terms of their perception of shopping there. So I think this is great to make it a real statement that it is a different store.
Absolutely.
Also, could you tell us the status of the tenants that are there? And I'm thinking specifically of the nail store. That's where I go.
They're staying.
The nail store, Radio Shack is going, is that?
They're on a month-to-month.
They're on a month.
Kind of
All
hard
right,
to
what
tell.
about the cleaners?
I believe they're longer term.
They're longer term, okay. So will they stay there, or will you move them someplace else in the center?
Yeah. all right.
We're planning on keeping those tenants exactly where they are.
We need to,
And who are you?
It's our property manager.
You're, oh, okay, well, we don't know that.
No, I understand.
Good evening. It's Frank Schwab. I'm going to be doing the leasing and the property management going forward. With the tenants that are on the parking lot face will remain there. And in fact, the proposed relocation for the nail salon would be in that same line, which gives them better parking and better access.
Sure.
So that's why we're doing it.
And
We-
more accessible, too, because there's stairs.
Clearly,
Yeah.
clearly. We did this because we looked at the historical record on the shopping center, and it failed in the fact that the access points including parking for that, the back end of that side along the street was basically inaccessible for a typical shopper. So you had to go out of your way to find your way into the space. So we're correcting that with the expansion and Valley's use of what was a hard-to-access portion of the existing center.
But is the cleaner staying in its current location?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, Alderman Grover and then Alderman Brathwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, gentlemen, very much. We'll be glad to have you. When you open, which is my first question, is what's your projected open date? If you will be securing the property in September, you'll be pulling permits you'll doing interior demolition, and then I'm guessing some major design construction. What's the plan?
I mean, preliminary, we're probably about June 1st.
It's interesting because the other Dominick store in the north end of Evanston, kind of a similar situation, except Whole Foods purchased the property and they've had it for a while. They've completed their internal demolition and are in the design process right now. They don't expect to open until early summer 2015 as well.
Yeah, that's the effort that
Yeah.
it takes.
I'm thinking this is going to be the one-stop shop for
Absolutely.
everyone. Yeah, it's great. And my other question is, by how much are you expanding the square footage of the store
It's about 11,000 square feet.
in the end? And
Yeah, it's
what do you-
currently
What do you
58.
start with, 50?
It's 58.
Okay,
We should be at about 69.
great, thank you.
Alderman Brathwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome, guys. It's good to see you. I apologize for being late. And I didn't have a chance to say this earlier, so just on behalf of our residents and all the neighbors that are in the area, they're really excited about your presence and the anticipation of opening a new store. I also want to thank our city manager and our staff who's worked really hard to get us to this point, so thank you very much, Wally, Paul Zalmazak, Megan Jones, and then there's also our mayor's committee that worked for both the Second Ward and also the Seventh Ward to get us here. So, one of the questions that I hear, folks are excited. They've been going out to the Arlington Heights store. And unfortunately, I had an opportunity to meet you all at the Glendale Heights store. So if any of our residents want to get an idea of just the variety of foods, the wonderful store that you run, where would you recommend that they go visit?
Well, the footprint for this store will most be similar to Hoffman Estates.
Okay.
That one's right around 58,000 square feet today. The store in Arlington Heights is only 38,000 square feet, so it's much smaller.
Okay.
The store that I run in Glendale Heights is 93,000
yeah.
square feet. So we have, more more ability to have more offerings. So the store to visit would be Hoffman Estates.
Okay. Would you all be willing to, and this is an idea coming from our Joanna Knight, and be willing to set up a tour?
Oh,
So if
absolutely.
we wanted to get some city staff and maybe some residents, our business association together and take a bus tour out there?
Absolutely.
You'd be open to that? Great. The other thing I wanted to do is to invite you all to our next Second Ward meeting, where you might have a little bit more time to do the presentation and answer some additional questions about your operations, and hopefully you'll be open to that as well. Good.
Are there any plans for new, exciting tenants other than Valley coming into the shopping mall? And I'm saying that because that's what everybody's asking.
I'd like to comment in if I can. It's a little bit premature, only because of the fact we haven't closed on the property yet, and we will not make announcements. Most tenants that we deal with, we're prohibited from announcing it until a lease is executed. We won't have the ability even to do that until after the closing date. So it's
Okay.
premature at this point to speculate.
All right. Alderman Brathwaite.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One last question, just in terms of the operations. With the 58,000-foot store. how much?
Square feet.
Square feet, that's plus 11. Thank you, thank you. Approximately how many jobs do you think will be created? Or how many folks will you need to run the store?
Yeah, typically, it should be anywhere between 100 on the low end, and it could go up as high as 200, depending on our mix of full-time and part-time employees.
Yeah.
There's a lot of students in the area, so if it's a higher mix of part-timers, it could push 200.
Great. Any idea on your hours of operation?
You know what? We'll actually have to do a little homework in the area. We have different hours at each store, depending on the neighborhood. Yeah, 6 a.m. is typically our open.
Okay.
We like to give the early shopper a chance to get in and get out, before the crowds.
Great.
On the late end, our latest store right now is open till 10 p.m.
Okay,
So, and the earliest is 9, so somewhere in there.
okay.
And quite honestly, one of the nice things of being owner-operators and being able to make decisions, if that store needs to be 11 PM or 12 PM, we can do it. There's
Great.
no other approvals that need to be acquired. You know, whatever the neighborhood needs is typically what we'll do.
Okay. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, any other questions? Yes, we've moved it, and it's been seconded, didn't we? I thought well, let's do it again, just to be on the safe side. Well, Alderman Brethwick, would you like to move it? A6.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move Resolution 58-R-14, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a TIF redevelopment agreement regarding the Evanston Plaza Shopping Center.
It's been moved and second. I see no lights. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And so it's done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have no items for discussion, no communication, so I would ask for a motion for adjournment. It's been moved and second, and we are adjourned.